Welcome back to Wealth Builders Podcast. I have Chelsea Williams with me today, and we're just going to get into it. We've already been into it, and you'll probably get some of that stuff too, but we're going right on in. Hi, Chelsea. How are you today?
Hey, happy to be here.
We are both I think they consider me the South. You're in the Midwest, in Illinois, a state I've visited before. I think people know a lot about Illinois, in the
Do
United
they?
States anyway. J.D. Vance is from Illinois. I think that's made it. And then Abraham Lincoln was from Illinois. And Chicago is in Illinois, and there's always something about Chicago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anytime I say I'm from Illinois, everybody's, oh, you're in Chicago. I'm like,
Yeah,
sure, just sure.
That's like people saying, I'm going to Africa. And you're like, that's a big place. Which country there are you going to?
Yeah, where?
Let's talk about, let's start. Tell us your money story. Were you born into money? How did you learn about money? Give us what you want to give us about your money story.
Yeah, so I was born into your average middle class American lifestyle. And when I tell this story, I always admit when you work with somebody who is an expert at something, usually they have this origin story of like how they struggled with the thing that they fixed now and how they overcame it.
Yeah.
And part of my story is that money was never a struggle for me. Now, that doesn't mean that I had a lot of it because I did not in my early years. And nobody taught me from school to family. A lot of our money story and why money is 90% mental is because money is a tool, but we have woven so much value and self-worth into it.
Yeah.
From an incredibly young age. Like when
Right.
I was growing up, money was a point of tension. It was something that my parents would disagree on. And so a lot of people that experience stuff like that in their childhood are like, oh, this is the truth. I'm going to take this on as fact. Because from ages 0 to 7 to 12, we're in what we call our imprint period. And that's when we are a sponge observing everything around us. And by the time we turn 12 and we more are projecting our values and beliefs, over 50% of those core values and beliefs are already established based on that imprint period.
Without you even having anything to say about it.
Exactly.
So did you hear your parents argue about money, or you just can sense that there was a tension about money in your house that doesn't seem to have affected you?
It was more of a sense. And that's important because we don't have to have seen something directly tied to money in our childhood to tie a belief into it.
Yeah.
But it was more of a sense for me. And I knew between overhearing my parents or hearing indirectly as somebody told a story that their finances were incredibly separate. They didn't really share finances. And so it was something that I could feel and something that I definitely saw when my parents divorced. I was in the 3rd grade and we lived in what I would consider this really nice house in a subdivision. They built it. It was beautiful. And as soon as my parents divorced, my dad was the one to move out. And he moved into a 2-bedroom house with 2 roommates.
Okay.
So immediately I could see the discrepancy between how my dad was living and how my mom was living. There were times when that first happened, I remember Goodwill was where I went shopping for school supplies. When my dad wanted to get us a toy for no reason, we would curb shop. If we saw something put out on the curb, we would go look. And back then, I never thought anything about it. I'm like, oh, here's a really cool toy somebody didn't want. I'm going to take this toy.
Okay.
So part of that plays into my story and why, even though I didn't have a lot of money, I never had any issues because I was willing to live below my means, even if that took me back to my Goodwill and curb shopping habits, because that was okay to me. It was something that it's like, there's no shame around this. It's just where we're at in life.
That's interesting. While your dad would do those things, he didn't associate it. It doesn't sound like, or at least you didn't pick up on, this is a bad thing. And I'm so sorry, honey, that I can't take you to whatever store and buy you a brand new toy. This is an adventure. This is what we're going to do. And look at this cool thing you found. And that brings a whole nother thing to it. And I know people who shop at Goodwill because they want to shop at Goodwill, but you weren't shopping at Goodwill because you want to. It was this is what we can afford.
Yeah, and isn't that
Okay.
powerful though?
Yeah.
As a
Yes.
parent, we have the power to shape the perspective of our children, even if you're not in a good place. And
Yep.
my dad was so good at that in our childhood. He would have us do super fun things that didn't cost a lot of money, like camping. We would go
Yeah.
camp down by the creek on my grandma's farmland, and that was like an amazing weekend for us.
Yeah. Yes. S- that's really cool because we already know our parents imprint a lot of money stories on us, whether they're specifically talking about money or not. And the main one, it seems like it's scarcity.
Mm,
And even when there's not money, if your parents are like, this is fun, we got this, and never gives you that feeling that you don't have enough, you never feel like you don't have enough. Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I do, yes. I have a brother who is 3 years younger than me and a sister who is 15 years younger than me.
Okay. And the 3 years younger, since 15 is way that's a whole nother generation. 15 years young 3 years younger than you, is his can you pick up on what his money philosophy is and how he thinks about money? Is it the same?
Yeah, so some of his behavior is incredibly similar to mine in the respect that he doesn't need a lot. He doesn't have to have fancy anything. He's a man's man and he was a bachelor up until a year ago. And so his outlet was boy toys, like paintballing, and he wasn't very good at saving. I think that's a big difference.
Okay.
But part of where I did get my understanding around money, this is part of my story too. It did not come from school, it did not come from my parents. But I was a sophomore in high school, and me and my friend got on the city bus with our allowance. We were going to go to the mall and spend our allowance. And we were on our way back from the mall, and we were sitting right behind the city bus driver.
Okay.
And out of nowhere, this guy turns around to us and he's, "Girls, I want to do something. Take out a piece of paper and a pen. We're going to write something down." And he proceeded to explain to us and have us write down a budget, like on a city bus. And he told us, "This is what minimum wage is. You're going to have this much taken out in taxes. This is the average rent for a 1-bedroom apartment. You can get a studio and save on some money, but let's just go with this for now." Like, he ran through the entire scenario with us. And it didn't stick back then. It was more weird to us in
Yeah.
high school,
It's
right? Our high school brains were like, "What is this
what
guy
the heck?
doing right
Who is
now?"
this guy? What's going on here?
But when I found myself on my own at the age of 18, I actually started to use what he gave us. And let that be a testimony to how very simple managing our money can be with this very straightforward equation. And so I started using it. And I think that was maybe one of the pieces that my brother didn't get, and why and he's getting much better because he
Yeah.
found himself a wife
Yeah.
and she's great at saving and he's open to it. But a lot of us are not taught.
The reason I asked about your brother is because we kids grow up in the same family and become completely different people. We get different things from the same thing coming at us. And that's where I was just like, was there any difference in how you guys got things? And obviously there is. And it is just, I just want people to realize, and I think a lot of parents don't. I remember saying to one of my friends has 3 kids, and it's, yeah, but they're not all having the same experience. You're all doing the same thing, but it's not all the same experience. It's, oh, she got it when I said it, but it wasn't what she had thought about. So that's just, that was the
Yeah,
main point of bringing that up. Everybody's experience is different, even if we're doing the same thing.
absolutely. Yeah.
So you went to college, you're an accountant, I know now. Talk about that whole process. Money was never a big thing for you. You always had enough to do what you needed to do, and then you decided you were gonna really dive into money.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So from 18 to 20, I was okay with just surviving. And
Okay,
one of the mistakes that I did not make during those years was going into debt. I
okay,
think one of the big issues for us today is we live in a world of instant gratification. We can order anything right now, and if we express deliver it, it'll be here by tonight.
yes,
And while high school is also not teaching our young adults how to manage money, they're going to get a credit card application the day they turn 18. And
Yes.
so this kind of reinforces habits that are not going to help us create wealth. So that was a mistake that I did not make. Now,
Why do you
even
think you
though
did it? Why do you think you did not do that?
because of that budget lesson, I knew I had to live within my equation. We're all living in the same equation. What we make minus what we spend is what we keep. And I knew I wanted to keep something.
Okay. Okay.
And so I never deviated from living within my means. And again, like I was okay with that. I didn't feel less than just surviving. I was okay with that.
So interesting. This angel person on a bus gave you a budget lesson. And you're like, that's just so weird.
I so want to go find
I,
him. Like this
I
was
would
so
too.
long ago, and I haven't seen because I used to keep seeing him years ago driving the city bus, and I'm pretty sure he retired from there. But I really want to go find him and be
Oh,
like, I talk about you so much.
it was the bus driver himself that was doing it?
Yes,
Oh my gosh.
yes. And it's
You
so
ride
funny,
his bus regularly?
he did. I'm pretty sure he retired there because I would see him for years after.
But did you ride his bus like he knew you because you rode the bus
Oh,
on a
no,
regular
it was
basis?
just that one
Uh-uh.
time. Like, it was such divine intervention because we were 15 and then I got my driver's license and I've had a car ever since. So the need
Okay.
for the city bus wasn't there. But like to your point, two siblings can be in the same exact moment and take something different from it. I told my friend that I started telling this story and she's, I don't even
Happened.
clearly I missed that lesson. So you just never know what's going to stick or what's going to pull through. So from 18, when I went out on my own, to 20, while I was surviving, I was also surviving mentally and emotionally. I was not in a good place. And what created a paradigm shift for me in my life was the moment I saw a positive pregnancy test and that I was going to be a mother.
Okay.
In that moment, I found something outside of myself to want to be better because it's not something that I could find in myself up until that point. And being an example for my daughter, because my road was very difficult up until that point. My goal of wanting to be an example for my daughter of you can make any mistake. There's no mistake that you cannot bounce back from and be
Right.
great. Like
Yeah.
that was my mission. And that's what led me to go to college. But accounting was something that was a complete accident. I did not go to college with the intention of being an accountant.
So you were not planning to go to college after you graduated high school?
No.
Okay. Then you found yourself pregnant. That sounds so weird. I was pregnant, not I found myself. I was pregnant,
Yes.
and it was knowing this child was coming into the world that, like, I understand that. I can be better. I've got to be better for this being that I'm going to be responsible for. Got it. It's amazing the things that get us to our place. It's
Yeah. If it's meant, it will find a way. And it just may not look the same for everybody. But that was definitely my wake up call. And it's what I needed.
yeah.
And it's the only reason that I am where I am today.
Okay.
And while it started with her, I think an important thing to acknowledge in this conversation, everybody talks about have a why, have a purpose that's bigger than you. My why started with her for her.
Gotcha.
It took me years to cultivate that value and worth within myself. It had to evolve. And so I think that's important to give your audience permission that even if you don't find it in yourself right now and you are relying on your kids or your parents or whatever it is outside of yourself, just run with it.
Yeah.
Run with it and be intentional about making that connection to self.
I 100% agree with that because it takes a while to come to the internal why, to be able to, even if you have it. And when I finally got mine, I was like, I could look back on all the things I've been doing. It's like, oh, this has been it all along. I just couldn't say the words. It's just, it comes. So I agree with you. Whatever it is outside of you that you need to make you move, use it. Just use it. It's, and it'll come with your internal. When your external stuff is gone, you may take a minute, just like you be in your bad mental place. Your kids leave, they whatever. If that's your thing, they go off to college. They don't call you anymore. They're doing whatever. You got to figure out your thing. It's there. It's there. I think that's really important. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so You're in college.
Yes. I'm in college for healthcare administration.
Healthcare administration. Okay.
Yeah. So I graduated in '05. And when I graduated, the powers that be were trying to funnel all of us into healthcare
Okay.
because they knew that by the time the baby boomers made it of age, they needed our generation to take care of them through nursing homes and hospitals and assisted living. So they were like, hey, class of '05, go for healthcare. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I'll go for healthcare. Because again, I didn't have any passion. I couldn't identify any skill that I excelled at. So I just started somewhere.
Okay.
And so my second semester in college is when my accounting class came on my schedule. And I had no clue what accounting was at all. I had no idea. I'm like, okay. In fact, I asked people at the school, other students, I'm like, what is this? What do we learn? And everybody I asked, I don't know if it was who I asked or what the deal was, but everybody that I asked either hated it, dropped out and changed their degree.
Okay.
There was no success stories. And the people that I asked, I'm like, crap. Okay, I'm gonna give it a shot anyway. And my brain just automatically clicked. It all made complete sense to me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a thing that I could really latch onto and run with here. And so I did.
You got out of that healthcare thing. It's like,
Immediately.
whatever I'm supposed to do this for the baby boomers. Okay, we'll put them to the side for now. Not that baby boomers don't need accounting.
Yeah, no, and my logic was like, okay, if everybody else hates this thing and it comes completely natural to me, this seems like a path of least resistance that I could
Yes.
explore,
Yes.
you
That's so
know?
exciting. Yeah, I just remember when things click, you're like, oh my gosh, this makes perfect sense to me. I don't understand how you don't understand this. And she's like, but thank goodness, that's an exciting moment. Yeah.
It
Yes.
is. Yeah, and especially because that was the first time in my full 20 years of life that had happened for me. I had
Wow.
always struggled in school. I had always had to work 4 times harder than my counterparts to get the same grades. School was never something that came easy to me.
Okay.
So to find something that is it clicks with who you are and how your brain works, that is a really exciting moment.
Very.
And many more would follow.
Okay. So you've had your childhood where you didn't really learn about money except that everything is good and no matter what we're doing, it's fun and all, and it just, there wasn't a lot of money, but there was enough and it was fun. Got it. Hard times that I think a lot of people have in their graduation from high school and what am I going to do with my life? You talked about being in a bad mental and emotional place for a few years and then decided to go to college for healthcare and God put an accounting class in your on your, what do you call it? Whatever you needed to graduate. I need this.
Yep. The lineup. Yep.
And your brain said, oh my gosh, this is what I've been looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. And to really reinforce it, then what God did, not 2 weeks before that first accounting 101 class was scheduled to be over and completed, I got notice at my then job that they were closing the store down.
Okay.
And so I was out of a job.
Okay.
So I went to Craigslist. Back then it was Craigslist. I went to Craigslist and I started scanning and I saw this job post for office manager.
Okay.
And it was a small business that had just moved out of his garage and he got a downtown office. It was doing really well. So I called him up and I was like, hey, I'm calling about this position that I found on Craigslist. And he was like, oh, great. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know what I need. I just know I need help. He's like,
Okay.
when can you come in to interview? I was like, I just got done. I go to the college over across town. And so I'm on my way to work, but I do have time to stop. However, you're going to have to be okay with me looking like a college student. I am not dressed for an interview right now.
Okay. All right.
He's, I don't care. Come on in. That's all right. And so I ended up getting the job and he was very right. He had no idea what kind of help he needed. So I just started hopping in and offering and doing what I thought would be helpful.
I want to back up just a little bit because we didn't even, you just introduced you had a job and you had a child and you were going to college. So there's a lot going on in your world right now. And are you paying for your school with your job, or you have loans, or how are you paying for school?
Yeah, so I kept about 2 jobs the entire time I got my degree, and I took out grants and student loans
Okay.
to
Where was
survive.
your baby while you were, did you support her with daycare, or did your parents help you? How did that go?
Yeah, so there was an amazing daycare on the college campus that I went to, and I got her in, and I was so grateful because she was right there on campus with me. And then my family was not our village back then. I think a little bit of it was tough love. They were not excited about who I got pregnant with, and so they made it to their point to be like, "You made this life decision, you figure it out."
Okay.
Luckily, though, we met an angel family that really helped carry us through this time. A friend of mine's mother would help me for anything outside of those daycare hours.
Okay. All right.
But
So
yeah.
angels all around
Yes,
helping life
yes.
go move forward. Got it. Okay. So then your job that you had, you said you were most of the time having one or two jobs the whole time you were going. One of your jobs closed or let you go, and then you had one or you had none?
I found this new opportunity before my place closed so
Okay.
that I rolled right into this new one, in
Got it.
addition to working for a peer mentor program on campus
Got
part-time.
it. Got it. So now you're going into this business where this man says to you before you even start, I don't know what I need. I just know I need something. That's
Yes.
scary. That's pretty scary. It's like, oh, okay. And you did it. You're like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Let's see what happens.
I loved business. I, at that point, pretty much knew I wanted to own and operate my own business. I didn't really know what that looked like at that time, but it was something that was on my radar. So for me, it was exciting because I get to create my own value.
Okay.
Like he
Did you
gave
think of it
me,
then? Did you think of it that way then?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
Because if you're lost and you don't know what to do, I can come in and help. I can, because of how my brain works, now that I discovered accounting, I'm recognizing that my brain works in systems and patterns, and this makes sense, and this balances out, and there's a whole process for this and that, and there's controls. And so I got into that new position and I started just helping out and offering to help wherever I could. But one day, he was working with his CPA. His CPA came into the office to get all of his paper real boxes of receipts and statements. We know this classic scene, right? Here's my shoebox.
Here's
Do
my
with it
stuff.
whatever you want. Don't ask me any questions.
Yes.
So there was this moment happening in the other room, and there were like 4 stacked paper real boxes of just financial data for his CPA to go off and take and bring back a tax return from. And a couple weeks went by after that day, and he started to get really frustrated because I haven't heard back from this guy. He has everything he asked for. I'm not seeing anything. What is happening? He's not answering his phone, which is also a pretty typical experience with accounting and tax professionals. It really is.
Yes, it
And
is.
so I did that thing again where I was like, I think I can help. I approached him and I'm like, okay, look, let me be honest. I don't know the first thing about bookkeeping. I've only taken one accounting class, but I'm willing to give it a shot if you're willing to let me. And he said yes.
Okay.
And that was the turning point. That was the beginning of what I have in my book.
Okay.
I built his bookkeeping and accounting platform, software, systems, and procedures from scratch. I actually brought in my accounting 101 teacher because I was the teacher's pet. She knew it was my work because I had the rainbow highlighters and everything was so organized and easy to follow. So she actually came in as a contractor for his business and helped me start the accounting software, get the initial entries in there, and teach me how to keep up with it. And
Okay.
I'm still friends with her on Facebook to this day. I love and adore her, and I'm so grateful for her doing that. But I built it all from scratch, and I started making these customized reports because at his biggest, he had 9 locations in 9 states.
Okay.
And
I was about to ask you, when you first started, was it a solo business or were there employees? What was the scope of the business when you first started?
the business had kiosks in malls.
Okay.
So when I first started, I believe it was 3 locations that they
Okay.
had
o-
in the immediate region.
Okay.
So when he expanded, he got to 9 states, and I think 14 or something like that locations, but I created all of the internal financial reporting. But then I sought a mentor because I didn't know what I was doing. I would call, like, the Department of Revenue and all the agencies and ask all the questions I possibly could to do my best. But at the same time, I also knew I've never done this before.
Yeah.
So I found a local EA, which is similar to a CPA. They're both tax preparers, certified
Okay.
tax preparers. And I started to hold myself accountable to them.
Okay.
So I would bring my monthly stuff, my quarterly stuff. They did our taxes. And I did that for so many times before he stopped me one time and he's, Chelsea, I don't know why you even come anymore. You know what you're doing.
Okay.
This is all accurate.
Did you know you knew what you were doing?
I felt pretty confident because, like I said, I was shameless about asking questions. I had friends at the Department of Revenue like, "Hey, Stacy, how you doing today? Got a tax return, a sales tax question." And I think that's a big thing too, especially for your audience and what your podcast is trying to accomplish is ask your questions shamelessly. Find your answers shamelessly. Own it.
And if the answer that you got doesn't make sense, it doesn't mean that you're dumb. It means that person can't explain it to you or they're making some shit up. You never know.
Yeah.
So ask the next person. I had
Yes.
actually hung up from an IRS person who was telling me so like, that don't even make any sense. Hung up, called back, got another person who explained it to me. It's like, okay, now I got it. And so it is really, you just cannot sit on a bad answer or an answer you don't understand because it may not be the bad answer. You just can't understand it. And none of us are dumb. All of us, this stuff is not that hard. Just like I tell my patients, medicine is not rocket science. You should be able to understand what's going on. You might not know how to do it, but you can understand what's happening. So same with numbers, same with accounting. You just got to get somebody to explain it to you. Okay. Sorry. Go
Yes.
ahead.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
you got your friends, you're not afraid to go out and not know the answer to something. I've got to find this out. And you got all that stuff until you don't have your degree yet. You're still helping this guy build his business and making sure his financials are good.
mm.
And the guy tells you, stop coming here. I'm sure he didn't say it that way. He's like, let me help somebody who needs my help. You don't need
Yeah.
my help anymore.
Yeah. And not only, this is God again, not only did he say, Chelsea, I don't know why you even come anymore, he offered me a job,
Wow. Okay.
which I took, of course, because this is now the path that I can see myself going down. And so there I got the opportunity to really dig in and understand what it means to help not just a business manage their finance, but multiple businesses manage their
Okay.
finance,
Okay. Okay.
which was a big leap. And I loved it. I was really thriving. I made vice president in 1 year. I bought into the company and had a payment plan. And then as I started to really grasp the technical side of accounting, like all the nerdy stuff that
Yeah.
Tony Robbins and Gary Vee said, we live miserable lives, like all of
Yeah.
that boring stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I started to look up at our clients and say, okay, now I have my craft. What are we doing with it? And this is where I learned the business side of what I do.
Okay.
And I learned the common struggles and the common gaps between finance professionals and business owners, and that bridge of communication that honestly so often is not there or it's fractured. Because in my mind, we have this opportunity to show people their financial position and educate them on how to get from where you are now to where your growth vision can take you
Yes.
with
And
the power of numbers.
can you do that all on between April 13th and April 15th? I'm going to say no, because I know a lot of people who don't ever talk to their wealth person until tax day or around tax time. And they don't know you. This is a relationship that has to be built. So they know what you're doing, what you want, what's your vision for your life. They got the numbers part, but knowing that rest of it for you is the way to really accelerate and get out of life and your money what you want. I just have so many people that I've talked to that I'm probably talking to right now who don't think that's important, who don't think that having that wealth person in their life, that person who can look at it objectively. You told me you want to do this. We had this plan. Now you're talking about doing that. Okay, how does this look? How does that fit into the whole plan? Do you still want to do this other thing? It really is an important part of it because we get off track in our lives so easily and forget what we were going to do. Anyway, that's a soapbox about accountability. And this is how your financial planner, your accountant, your bookkeeper, that person can help keep you accountable to your money in so many different ways. So, bottom line, you need a relationship with that person, not just a once a year conversation. Okay, sorry.
No, I love it because you're 100% right. And I was at that firm for 4 years, and I ended up not buying into the rest of the firm for a lot of different reasons. But what I learned there was everything that tax and accounting firms were doing wrong. The reason why you're playing phone tag with your tax preparer on the tax deadline day at 11:30 p.m. at night is because they have commoditized themselves. It is an industry-wide symptom that I started to see, and that's also why I chose not to do taxes in my business.
Okay.
I want a life all year, not just outside of tax season. But you're absolutely right, and I call these your key financial players. And whether you're in business for yourself or you're working a job, you need these key financial players in your life. And it's your tax professional, it's your investment advisor, it's your retirement advisor. Every one of these people helps you tap into your financial freedom vision and where you are now and the moves that you need to make to get from here to there.
And if they're all talking to each other and they all know the same thing about you, it's that much better. Don't silo them off. Don't silo. Pay for their hour together to talk about you.
Yes, bring them to your table.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes. Yes.
because the left hand must know what the right hand is doing, and you are the CFO of your life. So it is your responsibility to coordinate your players and bring them to your table.
Yep. Yep. That's so good. So good. Okay, so you are doing your thing. I've looked at your website. I talked about women and money. We have a little bit different history than men. Your timeline was amazing to me. And I knew that women didn't have the ability to get a credit card and buy property until 74. Is that right? Credit cards without their husband in 74. Money was invented back in 600 BC around. Talk a little bit about that timeline and why women may feel a little less secure. And maybe it's just a timing thing. I don't know. But talk about that. Why women, all the statistics show that women feel less secure in investments and managing money when we actually are not that bad at it. We're pretty good.
Yeah, so I love that timeline and the visual of it because
Mhm.
the impact that I'm trying to create by showing women visually this timeline is that we can realize we have only been a part of the financial algorithm for 1% of its life. So for the first 1,000 years that money was a thing and banks were a thing, the algorithm was tailored to white men that own property, simply put. Women did not enter this algorithm until 1,000 years after its existence. And even when we did, it wasn't in a way that granted us full financial freedom. It was only 50 years ago that the last straw was broke to where we are completely free to be financially independent.
Of a man.
Yes, because prior to that, we were on the balance sheet. We were an asset, and anything we owned was on our husband's asset listing.
I
That's
never
what
put it that way. That just gave me the chills and made me irritated in a bit.
Right? In fact, I learned not too long ago that life insurance was invented by a man whose goal was to protect women and children. Because what would happen is their husband would pass away and they would get taken advantage of, robbed, abused, used. And so this man created life insurance to protect women and children.
Okay.
So in this timeline, what I want women to give themselves after realizing we've only been in the game for 1% of its life is grace. We don't know what we don't know, and we have generational conditioning working against us. We are only almost 2 generations in to women self-managing finances, even being in this position. It's completely new to us. All of our history and our ancestors are telling us we don't belong here. And that's what you feel. And so I want women to first have grace and understanding around why they feel that way. It's okay. In fact, it's normal. And then I want to empower them because in just that 1%, now that we know this, that we've only been in the financial game for 1% of its life, now I want you to go look at studies that have been done on women in investing. Ellevest did a study. Women out-invest men. We get higher rates of return. And because of our divine feminine tendencies.
Yeah.
We are thorough up front and we are patient with our investments.
Yes.
In this short period, and if you consider that, I know there's a wage gap still, and I'm not for it. But what I'm saying is, if we've only been here for this amount of time and this is the only gap we have, we're doing something right.
Yeah.
And imagine if we just keep it up and believe in ourselves and position ourselves and really fight to get it, how quickly we can make this up.
Yes. That's so good. And I just, you saying that and that being out here now in the world, which I know you've been putting it out here for a while, that 2 generations, it's all we've had to be actually managing our own money without, I'm going to say it again, being an asset on somebody else's balance sheet, your husband, father, whoever was the guy. God, I don't know why that just really causes me some issues. It's a physical response to that, being an asset. Anyway, I won't go there. Anyway, that's really good. And like you said, from that study, women do well when they do invest. Studies have also shown we tend to be a little more risk averse. So many don't invest or don't think they can. How do we get past that? I was talking to a friend of mine in the surgery lounge, it was a while ago, few years ago, before COVID, a long time ago. Anyway, we started talking about money. She goes, "Oh, when I talk about money, I just get so sleepy." And that's not unusual. It's just boring. I don't want to talk about that. And I think it's a lack of understanding, not necessarily that I don't want to understand it, but I've got so many other things going on that I don't think I can understand. It's like you said, that generational, that stuff that we have in us. And maybe people don't believe that stuff lives in you past one generation, but I'm a person that believes it does. It's in our muscles. It's in our, I don't know if you can't see it in your DNA, I don't think, but there's stuff there that women don't need to know about money. Somebody else will take care of that. I can just hear it. I'll take care of that for you, sweetheart. Whether that's your husband, your tax person, your I don't know, the guy selling you something at wherever. We don't put up with that. We get angry about that, and we do put up with that to some degree. One of the things that I know where we put up with it is in our 401k. We just hand that off and let that money get invested by somebody who doesn't know you or know what you want or know anything about you, and you don't even think about it until it's time to retire, or the stock market drops a million points and you're like, oh my God, am I going to ever be able to retire? But you're not playing in the game. So how do we get to that point, more women to that point of knowing they can and then doing?
I think what we need to have here is a perspective shift. Finance is boring. You're not wrong. You're right. It's really boring. There are some terms you may have to learn and use flashcards. And it's like going back to the accounting course in school everybody hated. Yes, that's part of it. But what I want you to realize is that when you are learning how to be a player in the game of money, it's not really about money. What we're talking about is your life, your time, your experience, your abundance, your legacy. We are starting with a tool, but this tool, once mastered, compounds in your favor. And that's why we're learning. That's why we need to focus on it. And yes, there is a little bit of risk involved with investing. There's also risk from not investing,
Yes.
probably more risk not investing. And what you need to understand is that there are degrees to which you can manage risk when it comes to investing. If you're working with a good investment advisor, they're going to ask you about your risk tolerance.
Yep.
And they have strategies for it. And look, if you need to self-therapy and ease into some of this, open up an HYSA and at least let your money earn 4% while it's sitting there doing nothing so you can get used to the idea. There are low risk ways
Time out.
to
HYSA stands for?
high yield savings accounts.
It's because I know people are like, I was like, okay, it came quick, but I was like, right, people was like, what is that? What is that? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So your traditional banks are going to get you like 0.2%, maybe a 0.5% on your savings accounts. And HYSAs will get you between 3 and 4%.
Yes. Where do you
Um,
find those?
I love SoFi. You can go to NerdWallet and find a good list. I use SoFi. I find it to work best for what I need from it.
Okay. All right.
But they're super easy. It's just, I think I set my SoFi up in 5 minutes from my phone.
Okay. Now it
Um,
gets, when you start hearing all the kinds of stuff, because you got a 4% and inflation is what this is. So you really only got that. There's a lot of stuff that starts getting thrown at you that I would say that at the beginning, when you're first starting, just start, take a step, and
just
then
do
start
it. Yeah.
entering in all the other stuff that is coming at you. But it is, you can't take it all in at once. It's like going to medical school and doing surgery the next day. Doesn't happen that way. It is a step by step by step process. So money is the same. And money seems easy. And again, what Chelsea just said, it's never all about, it's not just the money. It's not just money. What's the name of your podcast?
Always and never about money.
Always and never about money. It is about all the other things you talked about, which I love that. I love your podcast. Always and never about money. 90% of money is mindset. Is that what you say?
It absolutely is.
What's the mindset? If there's a easy way to explain what your mindset is, can be, you want it to be, where are you working to get?
I believe that we are all energetic, vibrational beings. And money flows with who we are, how
Yes.
we operate, what level we are vibrating on. There's a book by Lynn Twist called The Soul of Money. And it's a great book to read and to think about. And there's no coincidence that a lot of financial terms reflect water, cash flow, liquidity. Money is energy and it flows according to how open or closed off your energy and beliefs and perspectives are around it. The goal is to identify those beliefs and then unlock them. And I'll start with one that I think a lot of people can relate to. So I mentioned earlier that we all live in the same exact equation. My equation is the same as yours. Yours is the same as every single one of your listeners. It's the same equation Warren Buffett lives under.
Okay.
It is how much money you make minus how much money you spend equals how much money you keep to save, invest, and multiply.
Okay.
The problem is that a lot of us are living in a net zero mindset. We are spending money sometimes even before we get it. How many people listening are guilty of, oh, I'm getting a raise next month. Let me go pick out a new car tomorrow that
I
has a
am.
car payment,
I'll spend
right?
my money 4 or 5 times before I pull myself back and say, "Wait a minute, you don't have that much."
Yes. And look, don't get me wrong. When something like the current economy squeezes our wallets, the first thing we do is look to cut expenses, right?
Mhm.
And that's part of the equation. Part of the equation is how well are you at respecting your spending boundaries and not overspending? But the part that we rarely ever draw our attention to because there's so much fear and scarcity around it, we don't want to even consider it, is how much we make.
Yeah.
How much money you make is the biggest reflection of your values and beliefs that are tied to the money story you are telling yourselves.
And back to the vibration, it's your vibration, and I know there's people out there going, "What the heck is vibration?" I get it, and it's weird, but it's true. It's
Yeah.
when there's a thing, if you think of money as not things you hold in your hand, but something that flows, it's everywhere. It is everywhere, and I have seen that. I need this, and it's gonna come, and actually, at one point, the exact amount that I needed came, and I told a friend of mine, she goes, "Next time, ask for more." It's like, why would you only ask for exactly what you need?
Because you needed validation that manifestation works.
It is when you have scarcity mindset, scarcity. There's never enough. It's just not there. When you see money everywhere, you know everything's gonna work out. And it's so simple as to go from money, it's not enough, I'll never have enough. Even if you're making $500,000 a year, which I know people that are and still feel like they do not have enough.
True.
It's not a flip the switch kind of thing. It is work to get there. You have to really, and sometimes, a lot of times, most of the time, all the time, you need other people helping you to do it. And someone you can trust that they can understand, or you're not afraid to tell them your fear about money, that I'm going to lose it all and I'm going to be a bag lady under a bridge with nobody caring about me. I still have that one too. It still comes in, it creeps in there. And you're like, as my coach says to me, the question to ask yourself, is that true? Which quickly gets me out of that. Okay, come on now. You know what to do. You know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the other part of seeing money opportunities everywhere is believing that you are worthy
Mm,
of receiving them.
yes. Wow. And I can tell you that I'm sure there's people out there that don't even think they don't think they're worthy. Some of that's gonna
Yeah.
come through conversations and who has the guts to point out to you what you're actually saying and what you may actually be feeling and believing when you don't see it and believe it in yourself. I talk all the time about a team. You need a team. There needs to be people that will bounce back to you what you're saying, and whether they tell you what you're saying or just say what you just said, you hear it differently when it comes from somebody else's mouth to your ears than from out of your mouth to somebody else. It's an amazing thing to me. Huh, I did just say that, didn't I? Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's power in the words that we intentionally choose to use. And that's part of what you can do if you don't have somebody yet that you trust to soundboard and hold you accountable and talk to them about these types of things. I'm a big advocate of journaling and reflecting, but one of the shortcuts to really catching on to what your beliefs are or what your level of value is or what's holding you back is pay attention to the words you use. Words are powerful, and we choose them almost subconsciously when we say them.
yeah,
But paying attention to the words that you use to describe whatever situation that you're in. For example, if you have a job and you're going into a review, on how you're doing. And this is also your opportunity to get a raise, right? Listen even to the mental chatter. Oh, I can't ask for that much. Or that's too much. How much money is too much? Really, is it? Yeah. Question yourself. And words can be your flags to be like, why is that my belief? Like they are a mirror of what we are truly believing.
Yeah,
And it is an ongoing practice.
it
And there
is.
will be new things to work on. It is a never
It's
ending
never ending.
thing. You have to be a student of yourself and a student of life and really pay attention to everything as you're navigating it. But so uncovering how much we think we are or are not worth is super important. And then we get the opportunity to advocate for our worth through the power of negotiation and not even just with money. And this is new to women too.
Yeah.
We are not used to historically advocating for ourselves or negotiating. And so it's going to be scary. It's going to be new. You are going to make mistakes. But let me tell you a secret. That's going to happen whether or not you choose what the thing is or not. That is
Yeah.
the essence of life.
Yeah. That's so good. Because and not only is it scary and people will talk about you because you are negotiating. You will get negative feedback because you do have the guts, the gall to ask for something.
Let
Story
me
right.
tell you something. One of the most difficult things, if you decide to change your life, whether it's for money or anything else, one of the most difficult things that you are going to have to accept is that you may shed relationships around you.
Yep.
That does not mean that you have to break it off and be bitter and mad and rude and mean. You can love people from a distance, I promise. But you have two options. When you decide to change your life and the people around you get uncomfortable, because humans are naturally uncomfortable and resistant to change.
Yeah.
When you hold on to change and the people around you start to feel uncomfortable with that change, you have two options. You can shrink to the opinion of the people around you, or you can rise to your own occasion. And that is easier said than done, but it's something that you would be wise to prepare yourself for so that you can handle it gracefully and not mean or rude or disrespectful.
And that discomfort, how they show their discomfort isn't necessary. It's not a direct thing. It's not,
No.
I'm uncomfortable with you making more money. That's nobody's ever going to say that. It
It
comes
could
out
be
in some other kind of way.
like
So,
the one comment that is like the yellow flag when you start to change is, oh, that must be nice.
oh,
Must be nice to get that raise. Must be nice to go on vacation. Must be nice.
must be nice. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And you do have to have some security with yourself to say, yes, it is.
Yes, it
Yes.
is. Yes, it is nice. But the thing is, you can do it too.
Everybody can.
You can do, there's
Everybody,
nothing stopping the person next to you from making the same exact change.
except their mindset
Self.
and what they think is true. 100%. What do you guys talk about on your podcast?
My favorite thing to do is to take something that is seemingly unrelated to money and tethered it to,
Okay.
because money truly is a mirror. It's a fractal. I work with business owners and their finance. I work with independent people and their finance. But what I have always seen to be true is that money is a mirror and there is no such thing as a money problem. There's only a problem showing up in your money.
Okay.
And so I believe that money can be a great place for self-discovery, because the same things you're struggling with and avoiding and the same tendencies and beliefs around value that you find in your money, I guarantee you can find it in some other area of your life.
Oh. Okay. So give us an example. You said you take something that's not related to money or doesn't seem related to money and you tie them together.
Yeah, so the last episode that I recorded was with Cynthia Cramlett, and she coaches people on sex and intimacy.
Okay.
And so we had a conversation around sexual liberation and what people struggle with and some of the things that come with that. And we tied it into money.
Wow. That's a good, I'm okay. I'll go listen to, that's a good one. That's a good one. Okay. So the name of your podcast again is
Always and never about money.
money. And on all the platforms?
A lot of them. Yeah.
Okay. Find her, you guys. It'll be in the show notes, the name of the podcast. Subscribe. Make her blow up. Make her nervous about how many people are listening. Okay. That's what we want. Let's just blow it up. All right.
Oh,
How
thank
can people
you.
reach you? And you've got courses, you've got a lot of stuff to help us be better with our finances. If you're ready to make a difference, make a change in how you think about money, how you relate to money, and to see how other things in your life are related to, and how, let's put it this way, once you get your money story together, how many other things change in your life that aren't even related to money. And I think that's what you're talking about. And that's key. Key. I
Yes.
think money's easy to talk. Money's not easy to talk about, but it's easy to blame for the problems in our
Yeah.
lives. Easy to blame. And it's usually not the problem. Talk about how do they find you? How can everybody find you? This is
Yeah, we made this really easy. Just go to moneymastery.work. All of my social landing pages are on there. Definitely subscribe. I have a book coming out at the end of this year that goes in depth on women and money and our history with it, like we were talking about. I also have an online course dropping soon for personal finance, super affordable. So subscribe to our newsletter so you're the first to hear about that. And then I also have on my podcast section of my page, you can submit a question or a scenario, and you don't have to say your name. I will keep it confidential, but we have a series called Am I the Asshole on my podcast where people ask the question like, Am I the asshole because I wouldn't lend my brother money a second time, or I'm not doing this? So we'll answer any of your questions on the podcast.
I usually know that's not me being the asshole, but you still have the question. You're like, no, I'm not giving you the money. You never paid me back the last 5 times. Because it took me 5 times to realize it, but no, I'm done now.
Yeah.
So good. Thank you, Chelsea, so much. It's been so much talking to you. Do you do bookkeeping and financial talking and conversations with individuals? I think you said yes.
Yes. Yep. So that was the personal finance course. Once we drop it, we're going to create a community environment as well. So that's where I'll really start getting to work with individuals on a bigger scale.
Nice. Come on, ladies. This is amazing stuff. I think Chelsea is a person you could tell anything to, and it will, she might just say it back to you, and you're going to hear it in a different way. Then we need this in our lives. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's been so much fun. Do you still have your dog, Dak?
Dax, yes. My
Dax.
150-pound beast is right over here. He's my co-host.
I've got
Yes. Can
mine.
I add one more thing just to get
Yes.
the women really excited and to drive home why it is more important right now than ever to get our finances together, to get confident, and to do the things that we've been scared to do, to be okay being uncomfortable. We are about to write the pages of history. There is something happening. They're referring to it as the Great Wealth Transfer. It is
Yes.
the biggest transfer of wealth in the history of forever. It'll be happening over the next 20 years, and women are positioned to get over half of that wealth. And so we need to be prepared. We need to equip ourselves with education and a plan and a strategy, because just like the soul of money and Lynn Twist shows us, money in the hands of women creates abundance for everyone.
Lynn Twist is amazing. I highly recommend that book also. I've listened to some of her talks. She's so good. It's a good person. I
Powerful. Yes.
really like her.
Great message.
And the wealth transfer, we've talked about this before. I know it feels like nothing's happening. I know it does, but this is happening and we have to know what to do. Who wants a dump truck full of money dumped on them and they don't know what to do with it? And I know you're going, I know what to do. I know what to do, but you don't want it to go away. That's the bottom line. You want to be able, that should last the rest of your life, your kids' lives, your kids' lives, managed properly. And it's not just about money. That's I think the biggest overarching thing, always and never about money. I'm jealous about that. That is so good. That's so good. Okay, guys, we're gonna be done. Do you have anything else? That was a good place right there.
That was it.
All right. Thank you so much. And I will be following you and listening, and I'm gonna take your course when it comes down. I'm excited to do it.
Oh, thank you. This has been so much fun.
Oh, good. We'll see you guys later.